I just want to thank Dixon Place for hosting this online, and thanks to you to be here. And I know there's a lot going on online, so the fact that I chose to be here today really means a lot. Really appreciate it. Dixon Connect is a networking event for everybody creative, all creatives. And I started this initiative in 2018 with the intention of creating a hub for all artists, just everybody, all the creatives with all creative disciplines and all genres of art. So the idea is to create a space for all the creatives to come together and have a conversation, and where they can discuss different projects, and where someone can actually connect with someone else and collaborate to make something new. And so just to make that possible, make that happen, is what Dixon Connect wants to do. It's the space that it wants to provide to the artists. So this has been happening since 2018 in Dixon Place's cocktail lounge, beautiful space, makes you feel really at home, has a really cozy feel. So it's been going really well. But this is another wonderful way to try it virtually, since that's the only option we have left now. But it's wonderful to connect again. It's about connecting. So and it involves a networking part, which is at the end of this Dixon Connect event. We start with a performance segment called MAX4. And what is MAX4? MAX4 gives opportunity to 4 performing artists who get a maximum of 4 minutes to showcase their work. And it could be an artist of any genres of art. So it could be not just dancers or choreographers, could be any background, any discipline of art. We start the evening with MAX4 performance, and then we move on to the networking part, where every participant will get 2 minutes to talk about themselves and what they do, and then we take it from there for one-on-one connection. Okay, so there are some ground rules for the networking part, but I'll get to that when we get to when we start the networking part. But before I introduce the MAX4 performers, I just want to make everybody aware that we are going to have all 4 performances without any break or pause, so that we can have a nice flow and continuity to the whole performance segment. But after the last performance, we are going to request you to unmute yourself, and so that we can have a round of applause for all the performers. Okay, so, and we'll also share all the performers' information in the chat, so we'll get to know them as well better. So, okay, all right. Now, without further ado, I'm going to introduce the first performer of this evening. Our first performer is Jonathan Katz, and who is a composer and a pianist, and is also the artistic director of Periapsis Music and Dance Company. One of his major artistic interests is to collaborate with choreographers and dancers, in which the music is equal to the movement, both in importance and intricacy. And to date, he has composed over a dozen works for dance in collaboration with the choreographers. So Jonathan is going to play one of his own compositions titled Tricot Prelude No. 6. So here we go. Wow, wow, that was so beautiful. And yes, I mean, this wasn't a live feed from Dixon Place, but it did happen in Dixon Place. That's how Dixon Place looks like, the main space, and that's our grand piano in the main space. And it was, we did go into Dixon Place a couple of days ago, last Tuesday, to record this for this show. So it was a lot of fun to do that, and really felt great to be there. Really. So in that subject, just one thing I want to share with all of you is that the theaters are allowed to film and shoot. Dixon Place has everything in place for that. They have permission to do that. They have all the guidelines in place to do that. So by all means, if you need to book Dixon Place to shoot or, photo shoot, video record, film, whatever you want to do, it is available to book. So, okay, so with that, let's move on to the next performance of this evening. Our next performer is Michele Herman. Michele is the author of the poetry chapbook Victory Boulevard, and her novel Save the Village is to be published by Regal House in 2021. How exciting! So she also does developmental editing and is a veteran teacher at the Writers Studio. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Michele Herman. Michele, may I please? There you go.
Thank you, Sangeeta. So happy to be doing this. First time my husband and I went to Dixon Place, it was on First Street, so we've known about it for a very long time. So as you heard, I have a novel coming out, so I'm going to be perverse and read poems instead. I've been keeping kind of a journal via poems through the pandemic, so I put together a little assortment. And the first one is called Group Singing Class via Zoom. I stand in the living room and regard my square of submitified face. I see the laureate of inhibition, the queen of ill at ease. Heaven help me, I see my mother. I let out a note while I also hold it back. I feel the lump of U-turn in my throat. And this one is called Advice from One of the Confident Ones. I'm not sure if this is earnest or completely sardonic. You can judge for yourselves. Advice from one of the confident ones. You silly ones who learned that self-worth must be earned anew each day through toil and burning midnight oil, and think you're falling short as much as you contort your body to outpace the others in the race. Your drive becomes a bore, and no one's keeping score. Here's what you need to do to be a better you. Just go reset the bar to wherever you already are. And, okay, this is a potty mouth poem, so be prepared. In Hudson River Park on a sunny Tuesday morning, a jogger jogs by without a mask. A woman on a bench hollers at him. The jogger hollers back. Suck my dick, each tells the other. I forget in which order. I have immunity, asshole, he yells, but she doesn't hear or maybe care. A few more assholes fill the air, a motherfucker or two. I can afford health care, he yells, before he shrinks to a dot and disappears. I got bigger. Okay. This one is called The Projects at Noon. How quiet it is in the projects at noon in this terrible year on a Tuesday in June. I walk with the dog just to survey the scene, and all that I see is surprisingly clean. I spot no graffiti on the brick or the signs, no trash or destruction on the pathway that winds from 18th to 19th, from high-rise to low, and no one is out, for there's no place to go. How easy to think that the trouble is past, to forget that the flags are all at half-mast. but the patches of green are all sparse in the quads. The windows are small on the project's facades. It takes money and leisure to tend to a lawn, and views do not matter when blinds have been drawn. The playgrounds are locked, the rats are asleep. The water runs cold, and the anguish runs deep. Okay, and this one has a little visual. This is my last poem, and this is who it's about. Again, I'm hoping you can see my little dog.
You
Hi.
have to bring it up a little bit more.
Keep going.
Maybe,
Okay.
yeah, almost.
Okay. Very
Just,
confusing.
just pull it back a little bit
Pull it back.
towards you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
There
great.
he
Yeah,
is.
now we see.
Okay.
Yeah,
And then,
wonderful.
so this is our little dog Ruggles, the one I was walking with in the projects that day. And this is called Old Dog. And he is no more. We lost him a couple of weeks ago. Old Dog. He lumbers his long house from room to room. And when lumbering takes its toll, he drops to the floor and spends the night wherever he lands. He pees lagoons. He pees rivers with tributaries. He pees near the plastic, under the plastic, and his pee eats the polyurethane off the oak. There's a moist coil of poop on the kitchen floor. His teeth are black with plaque. His flanks are dotted with potato eyes, visible through his balding coat. His blue rubber ball lies in a corner under the sofa. His eyeballs bulge, his ears hang flat. There's no longer any hoopla when I return from a trip to get the mail. He's lost his hearing and his mighty dachshund voice, though in his sleep he still lets out a vestigial yelp. I love him more than ever, and I cannot help. Thank you.
Those were just amazing, amazing, Michele. I mean, you know, reset the bar to wherever you are. I mean, and, you know, great reflection of what we are really going through now. And it was, those were just amazing poems. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm so sorry about your dog. Okay, with that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our last but not the least performance. And I know this is the third, but this is third and fourth performance because we have two performers in this last piece. And it is a little more than 4 minutes. It is a collaboration between two sisters. One is a dancer, choreographer, with whom I have worked numerous times, Kyla Piscopink from Dance Key West in Florida, and her sister, Dr. Susan Dewey, who is a professor of criminology and criminal justice at the University of Alabama. And she is the lead editor of Telling My Story, Voices from the Wyoming Women's Prison. Together, they will perform an excerpt from a compelling collection of writings by incarcerated women. All right, here we go. Kyla.
I'm drained. I woke up September 14th in county jail with the mindset of another day, another lost dollar. My morning went by slowly, as it tends to when incarcerated, with the only worry on my mind being, how am I going to get out of this one? I have cold sweats. I sleep. 3:15 p.m. My appetite has become unbearable. I force myself to get up and eat, hoping to feel some energy. Luhan! I make eye contact with the corrections officer who called for me. I start to approach him with a look of hate on my face, thinking, what in the world does this clown want? He tells me I have a visitor, which changes my attitude slightly. I was hoping it was Luke, the father of my kids, with good news about posting bond or just a simple hello from a familiar face. I take about 5 steps and stop in mid-stride. Wait! I look at the corrections officer with that look of hate I had in the beginning, remembering, we ain't got no visiting on Thursdays. Instantly, my stomach cringes, thinking something's wrong. He looks at me with worried eyes and says as calmly as possible, you have a special visit. At that moment, everything goes silent. Every electric door, radio, and hundreds of voices go silent. I hear only my own thoughts. One of my sons got hurt. Is it the feds? Luke. As the guard nudges me forward, I start to walk. My surroundings become real again, but my stomach is hurting even more. I feel the panic. My heartbeat is rapid. I can't breathe. I look up at the corrections officer in hope of some kind of comfort. His face shows nothing. My thoughts slow down once we reach the main hall. I can start to see people in the distance, but I can't quite make them out. As we walk closer, that bad feeling comes back, but tenfold this time. The people around me come into focus. They're all sergeants and lieutenant, and they're all in their street clothes. Now I know that something's wrong, really wrong. Once I reach the visiting room, I stop completely, afraid of who is on the inside. I look back at all the officials that are standing in awe behind me. Not one has a look on their face that is familiar to me. Still afraid, I enter. I see my dad. He's in his work clothes, pacing. I approach the phone, the only connection between us. As I look up to see the look of horror, sadness, and worry in my dad's eyes, I hesitate. Then I say, hello. My dad holds back tears, puffs out his chest, and takes a deep breath before he answers me. Sit. I refuse. And he says, listen, I need you to be strong. Please sit. I still refuse to sit. Panic flows over me. What is it? What's wrong? My dad's voice is shaky, but he remains strong and says, I'm so sorry. Luke is no longer with us. In shock and in confusion, I ask him again, but this time with anger. As he tells me that my Lucas was shot, I stand completely still. My thoughts begin to race again. It's not true. I just talked to him last night. It has to be a mistake. He's at home with our kids. I'm not looking at my dad, but through him when the hurt comes. Pain from deep inside, like my chest is caving in. It gets hard to breathe when the tears start to fall. From that moment on, my world becomes clear. I start to feel again. Reality is no longer an illusion, and memories become my treasures. Tomorrow isn't promised. Months pass and my condition gets easier. My 8x10 cell becomes home, and my addiction is a daily obstacle. It becomes a battle I'm learning has had the upper hand throughout my whole life. A moment of truth and desperation, my willingness for change sprouts. Somewhere inside me called out for help. My initial thoughts, my life, my faith, my existence. I lay there motionless and bitter for weeks, not able to sleep, but with zero ability to function. I had so much to say, but there wasn't a fight left in me. 3:15 p.m. became my motivation. Once the cold sweats started to fade and my focus came back, I started to question life as a whole. When I did find sleep, I would wake up with anger, with a sense of loneliness that was unbearable, surrounded by brick walls of concrete, with not another human in sight, just the faint sound of footsteps, no one to talk to and zero comfort. My life seems to end, so why am I still breathing? Life becomes nothing more than motion without feeling. I become cold and numb, consumed with hate and self-pity. Inside, dying a slow death. I start to fight. I learn that fighting helps to feed the demon who lives inside me. My fists become guns and my words are sharp as knives. Being forced to live in a rigidly structured system and being told what to do is shaming. I learned very quickly about all the different kinds of people that exist. I had a choice, either fall in place or become more than just a number. My prison number, 2721, becomes my being. It is my worth.
Wow, wow, so intense. I know I saw it once when you're here saying, but this was so emotional, and it must have taken out a lot of your energy. Like I think it can be quite draining, quite exhausting, to give in so much of your feelings and emotions to. And where is Susan? Susan, can you turn on your video, please? Where's Susan? Let me answer spotlight. There you are. Beautiful, beautiful reading. Thank you so much for this. This was amazing. Thank you, Kyla. Beautiful dancing. And so Susan, that was amazing. I believe the writer is still incarcerated right? Yeah, I wish the writer was here with us, right? Yeah. Well, let the writer know that the writing has been read and been danced with and been shared with many people.
I'll do that. This was a dream come true for her. This project was born in the women's prison up in Wyoming. The first thing that they said when we produced the book was, you should make this into a play. And while this isn't that, it's quite similar. So I'm sure that she'll be able to see this when she gets out and be just thrilled. Thank you for making it possible.